All right, go for it. Murray or Isaac?
Okay. Yeah, Murray Myers, Transportation Administrator. So I'll start off talking about the commission really briefly and then pass it to Isaac. So for a quick recap, the composition of the commission it's going to take me a couple minutes to say it. The Multimodal Transportation Commission, or MTC. It's 13 members appointed by the council offices and the mayor's office, with one rep from VIA and one rep from AMPO. And we've been asked by Joey to explain, okay, what is the role? So really, the focus of the duties is to act as an advisory board to the transportation director, and also to serve as more of like a recommending body for reviewing and updating policies, plans, procedures, etc. And then they will receive regular updates from the transportation department on things like complete streets, TOD, Vision Zero, and the bike network plan. So the next meeting, or the first meeting, is February 10th. It'll be more of like an orientation. I won't spoil for the commission, what we're going to cover, but it'll be more like an orientation on the 10th. Let me see if I can drop some details in the chat. It'll be at 6 o'clock at City Tower. There will be an online component, so if you want to watch via live stream, and there will be Spanish translation. And yeah, we will go through what you all have been a part of this whole time: complete streets, bike network plan, Vision Zero, TOD. Between all those plans, there's over 200 actions. So the commission, based on what their priorities are, what their preferences are, they can go into a variety of directions. So I'll stop there. And Joe, you want us to just keep going or stop for any questions?
Yeah, I guess. Does anybody have any questions? I'm also going to drop in. We put together a kind of a one pager about the commission when the transportation departments open the applications. I'm going to put that in the chat box. Does anybody have any questions? I know. Hopefully, again, I want to Murray to talk about this too, because I know a lot of folks, even on this call, were really interested in participating as a appointee from their district. I think it's great that the city is going to be live streaming this or making this available online. So I think that's a huge win for the community to be accessing that information easier. Does anybody have any questions on that committee or commission in the meantime?
I, I do. Tina, I wanted to know, do you have to be a city of San Antonio resident to be on the commission?
To be appointed, yes, and all of those selections have been made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did District 2 appoint somebody finally, or?
I thought that was in progress, but we can check on that for you, Joey.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Can I clarify? This is Emily Hutchison. Is it so it's open? The meeting's open even if you're not on the committee?
Yes. So if you want to come to City Tower, let us know. I think it may be too late to get parking validated, but we may have a couple passes if anyone's interested in being there in person. Otherwise, yeah, you can live stream it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I guess that's a big key. Because I noticed, like, if you look at the city's like commissions page, there's tons of committees and commissions for different focus areas, and some add their presentations, some live stream, things like that, and some don't. So I think that's I'm really excited about that. That folks will have greater access to that too. So good step in that direction.
Hi, this is Erica. I have a question. My call dropped and I had to call back in. So as far as the D2 person, I don't think a person has been appointed because Brian has sent emails and we have called and we still haven't received a response, either in writing or a call back. So if somebody has been selected for D2, it'd be great for us to know so we can stop trying to get on that committee.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, we'll check on that and try to give you all a response as soon as we can.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Awesome. And so, folks from transportation, there are folks to ask for, information about the Transportation Commission. So, feel free to reach out to them too regarding that. Murray, I guess y'all's next.
Okay, yeah,
Any-
I'll pass it to Isaac and we'll run through a quick update on some of the bike projects.
All right, Joey, I think I sent you a quick presentation. Do you mind sharing that on the screen, please?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Okay.
While I'm pulling it up, do you want to kind of give a, I guess, an intro to that?
Yeah. So for those who don't know who I am, I'm Isaac Levy. I'm the senior transportation planner for the city of San Antonio's transportation department and was the deputy project manager for the bike network plan. Now I'm helping on the multimodal planning side on trying to get getting these bike lanes implemented across the city, whether it's through our mechanisms or through capital delivery or through public works. And so today I just kind of wanted to share with you guys what our upcoming bike facilities are throughout the city. Most of them being, or not, or quite a few of them being uh, led by the transportation department, and a large project upcoming soon being led by the capital delivery department. Go to the next slide. So starting off with the Woodlawn Lake bike facilities, which is a basically like a circular bike facility that's going around the lake, which will be a protected bike facility on both sides. It's about a little over 1.5 miles, which the main segment is. Um, the project scope for that one is like a roadway reconfiguration, especially along South Josephine Tobin from Cincinnati, from one side of Cincinnati to the other end of Cincinnati, as well as on Woodlawn on segment B, as you can see on the map up, on the presentation, and then as well as a slight change in the way the roadway is built between on South Josephine Tobin and on the north side of Lake North Josephine Tobin as well. Again, like I mentioned before, the design we're going with as of right now is a protected bike lane with armadillos and flex posts. Um, if this is a design that you would like to see change to a different type of protected bike lane design, please we're working with the Council District 7 on this, as well as with Parks and Capital Delivery. So feel free to speak to Council District 7 on if you would like to see a different facility type. Also, too, we are doing different crossing improvements at different intersections along the bike facility.
Isaac, the picture you have at the bottom with the both traffic patterns for the bike lanes being on one side of the street, is that what the design will be, or is that just an example?
That's the proposed design as of right now. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We haven't started engineering and design yet, but I'll get to why we haven't started just yet
Okay.
in next slides.
Thanks.
Mhm. But also part of the Woodline Lake bike facilities, there is a neighborhood segment that's about a little over 1,300 feet on West French Place, North Elmendorf, and Cincinnati Avenue, where there will be traffic calming at the West French Place and North Elmendorf intersection, as well as the same layout as the same layout as uh, the park bike facilities, which would be a two-way cycle track off street, um, and then as well as crossing improvements. And you can go to the next slide real quick, Joey. And so, as I mentioned before, we are partnering with Capital Delivery Parks and Council District 7. This project is estimated at about $2.62 million. And as of right now, we are awaiting grant acceptance. As the grant that we're using, the $2 million coming from this was part of the Tex was a rider in the Texas legislature, and so we're just waiting to accept that. The way we can use that for design and construction, and then from there we'll be able to update you guys in the future on the dates for different design goals, and when we'll start construction on it. So before we proceed to Camden, I want to see if you guys have any questions regarding Woodline Lake bike facilities. Yes, Matthew.
I know the designs aren't finalized, but on that slide showing the neighborhood portion, is there any
Mhm.
reason we chose 13 to 14 feet for the travel lanes on that neighborhood portion rather than something closer to 11 or 12, since it is more of a neighborhood street, and redistributing that space as a buffer between the sidewalk and the travel lanes rather than just keeping them as the travel lanes?
There wasn't necessarily a particular reason why we decided to keep those lanes wide. For a preliminary design speak. But when we do the design, that's something that we can mention to, or we can reference to and say and let the engineer know that we can narrow these lanes down to about 12 to 11 feet, or even
Yeah.
even more narrow than that, because this is a local. I believe Elmendorf is a local street, so
Yeah, I think just any amount of buffer is better than no buffer, even if it's a foot between the sidewalk and the roadway. So
understood. Anyone else?
Oh, I
Oh,
agree.
Yamini.
I was just gonna say I agree with Matt, especially if we can add shade on the right side too by reconfiguring it a little. With that said, is there a way we can kind of like subscribe to this project and kind of know when there's public input meetings? Like, what's the best way for us to do that?
Yes, so we do have a SA Speak Up page on it on of for
Okay.
Woodlawn Lake Bike Facilities. I can add that link in the chat. That way you guys can keep track of the project and know when we're doing when the engineering will start for it, and any kind of community engagement that may take place and all that stuff.
And I will
That'd be
add that
great.
Isaac and team, they went out and did a lot of block walking, public meetings to kind of get down to this option. So I think, yeah, we're open to taking comments, but we don't want to undo whatever we heard from these neighborhoods to get to this point.
And I guess also too, I just want to mention to you guys, I'm not sure if you guys knew beforehand, but we had did like, but prior to settling to this, as part of settling into this design, we had done we were doing a feasibility study to try and figure out what would be the best kind of facility type for this area. So that explains why we did all the community engagement beforehand. All right, well, we can move on to Camden. So this section of Camden that we're working on, bike lanes, is from Newell to St. Mary's Jones intersection. The scope of the project is to build protected bike lanes being protected by by a precast 18-inch barriers, as you can see in the picture on the top left-hand corner. Is estimated for about 360,000, or a little over 360,000, and we are planning to start construction in the spring of 2026. Are there any questions regarding the Camden bike lanes?
I can't wait for this.
I have a couple comments,
So
as
excited. I
always.
take this every day.
Are y'all coordinating with the McCombs development that's going on at the corner of Jones and Camden? That'll start construction soon.
We have not, and the reason being is because we knew who owned it. We sent out like notifications to see like to know who owned it, but at the same time too, we didn't know about any kind of development that were happening up until this past month. During the time of us doing this, the lot we considered was just like a vacant lot. We didn't know there's any kind of construction that was being planned. But then we started noticing there articles start coming up about I think like a 17-story development that they're planning on doing on that lot. So that's when we started hearing about more and more about it.
Yeah, it's going to be 6 different buildings with
Hmm.
multifamily office. It's a whole thing. I also just want to comment, filling in that gap on Jones to connect Avenue B, that protected bike facility with Camden Street, completely getting people across 35 without having to use Broadway at all, would be a great thing. Getting them into the Pearl and then connecting on Avenue B through the Pearl again. So this is a great connection, and if we can get that last one in front of the art museum, then like this is great. And so
That is indeed a goal. You can ask Murray about it. It's something I've pestered about for quite a while. But yeah, that is indeed a goal to kind of complete that linkage between Avenue B and Camden. That way, there can be a whole protected facility for everybody to ride along that gets between the Pearl and completes that whole entire stretch for the museum reach.
it would connect to the Parks Department's Dignity trail project that they're doing across 37 to the east side as well, and that ends at Avenue B and Jones as well. So
That's correct. That is correct.
Isaac, are
One
y'all?
thing
Go ahead, Shane.
Go, Trent.
one thing I realized is I think maybe Fantasyland. I was hoping this was all the way down Camden,
Mhm.
specifically from I think it's what is that main street that goes by? the library.
Soledad?
Yeah, the really nice bike lane we have there that goes by the library. Any chance that we might be able to extend this in the future and try to link up the bike lane that goes there by the library all the way to the end of Camden?
Yes, there is a possibility there is a strong possibility this can be done in the future. We just anticipate for this one just to be like the beginning of how we're going to start building things on Camden, and then from there we'll extend this in the future. But we just don't have any dates as far as that as of right now.
Cool.
Isaac, what kind of intersection treatments are y'all going for at Newell, and I guess Jones and St. Mary's? I feel like maybe Jones and St. Mary's isn't as bad, but I feel like, as a, cyclist, pedestrian, or even motorists, like the Newell and Camden intersection can be kind of stressful at times. Have y'all had any thoughts towards that approach yet, or open to considerations?
Yes, so the intersection at Newell, obviously, we want to make sure that people, if you're going east, I mean, if you're going westbound on Newell as a cyclist, we want to make sure that you're having a um, something that kind of signifies to drivers that you are going to turn onto those Camden bike lanes. So we are engineering a bike box to be there, to kind of give people a like I said, like kind of signalizing to those that there are people going to be turning left as they're traveling along to go south onto Camden or southwest rather. Um, and there's going to be some intersection treatments as well on that corner, that southern corner of Newell and Camden as well. So basically going from northbound on Camden going eastbound onto Newell. So yes, that is part of the design.
Okay. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think that's key too, to make sure folks feel comfortable once they reach that intersection, can kind of feel comfortable, but also you make it intuitive and like, okay, how do I get around? And like, I guess, of course, education for motorists too, and how to interact with the bike box.
Correct.
To that point, Joey, I think one of the things that would, I think as a driver, just generally, those signs that have a show like a bicycle crossing, but like lit up, right? So sometimes you'll have like stop signs that are lit up at a high speed intersection that's like a four-way stop. But I've never seen like a bike one that's lit up with like yellow flashing lights. And so I wonder if that's an option. And since it's, it can be solar powered, I wonder if that would kind of help along that case. Because I know there's, concern about that. Does it indicate a slow intersection, or does it indicate something else? But I wonder if that would be help bring attention for this case.
That is an interesting concept because we do have signage that's going to be in in a particular intersection that's going to signal that's going to indicate to folks that there is a left turn box. And for people that have traveled along that stretch before, whether it's by vehicle or by bike, it kind of is a little bit tricky, especially when they opened up that market over there at the Pearl. It's kind of like the way the intersection is kind of weird is that you stop if you're turning right into the market, right? You kind of have to stop a little bit before, and the way it's kind of designed too is that that turn box is going to be a little bit further to the west along Newell, and then it'll help guide the cyclist onto the Camden Street bike lanes. So if you're somebody who's pulling in if you're pulling in as as a vehicle, as a driver who's going into the market, right? You are going instead of the bike box being right with you where you are, it's going to be a little bit ahead of you. And so we do have signage that's there, but as far as it being solar powered, we don't. But that is a good concept that we should do for future bike lanes, especially in an area where the intersection is a little bit tricky in this spot. So I do appreciate that input because now you gave us a good idea. So
Hey, can I comment on this idea that you're talking about, the Camden and bike lane?
sure.
Because they would use the other idea for the other project, like on Houston Street towards Foster Road. 'Cause that area is like really dangerous. I'm always ride that bike all the time, especially on my e-bike at night, because I go to work over there on the where the Amazon and other industrial park areas is that. But that could be more useful, so we won't be having issues like hazard on the road there. But I just like the concept of the where where the they have like those dividers on the lanes for the bike lanes. So because cars and 18 wheelers, can always make that issue when they parking their 18 wheelers. But it could use that other option, like to make sure, like for bike lanes to have to share the road. But I just like the idea of what we are doing.
Gotcha. I mean, this is one of the applications when it comes to protected bike lanes. This is one, if you guys remember, I remember from looking at the bike network plan, protected bike facilities, they can have different kinds of separation. You know, they can be anything from a grass median, it could be a curb, it can be these barriers that we use. And this is our first time in the city of San Antonio, at least to our knowledge, using these barriers. And so we wanted to make sure that when we built these out, we wanted to make sure we put our best foot forward and we actually make sure that they are that they are they're well taken care of and they're actually put in a spot where we know they can be highly visible to the riders. So we want to make sure also too that we don't just kind of half step when we do these protected bike facilities. And so we figured that this would be the best kind of separation and best kind of like a divider for this facility. Yes,
Okay.
Matthew.
Jonathan, I just want to comment on yours as well for Houston Street out by Foster is what you're saying. Houston Street outside of 410 becomes TxDOT right away as well. And so that's something that the city has to keep in mind is they can only affect what they own. And since
Mhm.
Houston Street, once they get outside of 410 is TxDOT, they can't change anything. That has to be the state. So
Yeah, because we know what too, I might have to, I would like to take it to TechStart and maybe, have this idea solution that, it could be more safer for the road, for cyclists on the road out there. Because I'm planning to just ride a bike outside of Bear County in the near future, but, because I always ride from work every day and night.
Hey, we'll hop over to Brian, but real quick, Isaac, are y'all having a meeting on
Mhm.
this soon to, I guess, dive into this further? I guess for some of these projects, or are y'all
For
for this
for
Camden or other? I think you have another one coming up.
We'll provide an update to the commission, but in terms of public meetings for this one, no.
Okay,
not for Camden, no.
okay, Brian.
Yeah, Isaac, this is just kind of more of an awareness comment. One of the things that's becoming a little bit more difficult with regards to that intersection from Camden to Newell to Quincy is that with the construction that's kind of now right there on the west side of the river, it's making it harder for traffic that's crossing from Quincy over Newell to, I guess, on the other side of some of that new development. It's getting harder for drivers to see anybody coming from Newell, and now I guess would be coming from the Pearl area. So my hope is just from an awareness perspective is that y'all, as y'all kind of think about what's happening at Camden and Newell, thinking about solutions right there at Quincy and Newell because of the construction that is happening right there.
Understood. We'll be thinking about this when we do other improvements in the area. And then also to move on to the 22, 27 bond bike projects. So since Capital Delivery came forth with two projects that they are planning to do in the near future, Cincinnati Avenue from I-10 to Zarzamora, um, protected bike lane with roadway redesign. This is the proposed design. And as some of y'all already know, they're coordinating with Council District 1 on public engagement efforts that were started back in November. And then also Zarzamora Street from Humble Avenue to Culberson Avenue. This design would be a shared use path, estimated at 3.6 million. It is also supposed to tie into the overpass that's supposed to go over the Union Pacific Railroad tracks on Zarzamora near Frio City Road. And the goal of this particular shared use path is to connect along Zarzamora to what was the name of that park? Murray, do you happen to remember?
Normal Park?
Normoyle? Yeah. So Normoyle Park is the one. So those are the two projects that are coming forth with Capital Delivery, as well as you can go to the next slide. Market Street Cycle Track. So this is the most notorious bike cycle track bike project out right now, from South Florida Street to Tower of America's Way. It is a protected two-way cycle track that'll be on the northern side of Market Street, and then when you get to Alamo, it's going to be on this eastern side, and then when you get to Commerce Street, it'll be on the southern side of the street. It is estimated at $12.1 million, and it is expected to start construction in spring of 2027 and to end in summer of 2028. They're currently in engineering design right now, and I put the link on the presentation, but I can also put the link in the chat as well. That way you guys can keep up with any future. That way you guys can keep up with any future meetings that may happen in the near future, and you can be updated as things go along.
Isaac, wouldn't you agree this is one of the best cycle tracks the city is probably ever going to build so far? I mean, this is a big deal. This is I mean, it doesn't go on the other side of the Interstate 37, but it's one of our very first protected ways of traversing east-west through the city, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, well, back when they were known as part of Public Works, when they were applying for the TA grant, one of the things that I acknowledged as helping them out was that this is supposed to be like a linkage between the east side and the west side when it comes to bike facilities. Of course, we have work to do when it comes to building a nice protected, safe bike facility on the east side that'll go from downtown th on through. Um, but I think that this is a very crucial link, and I think this could be one of because this could be the best. This could be one of the best bike facilities. I still think Avenue B is a pretty good one, but this has a potential to be like one of the best ones, if not the best.
And it is a done deal, isn't it? This is not still being talked about. I mean, this is already.
Well, yeah, so it is in design. It is subject to change, which is why we wanted to bring it up and list the SA Speak Up site, because what the CDD and Public Works Department have heard at the public meetings recently is from the downtown business owner, which is they don't want this at all, or they want the design changed. Maybe they want some of the separation removed. Their priority is curbside management. So it's really important that you'll let them know how important this project is and that you would use it. And it, like you said, Trent, it provides this east to west link.
I I wonder. I think this is kind of really an opportunity to not only rethink the bike facilities opportunity here, but also micro transit or micro mobility HOV lane concept that we've been kind of tossing around. Because if you're able to couple this with a high occupancy vehicle that moves from east to west or even north to south, um, then you would have people in, single vehicles saying like, man, I should have rode my bike or I should have gotten on that HOV vehicle because they're moving along faster, especially during events that are going to continue to grow downtown with the sports and entertainment district, things happening at the conference center, uh, Market Square as it goes under renovation and renewal, the east and west sides renaissance that's happening. I think there's a huge opportunity to maybe couple this with that. I know they're two separate modes of transportation, but I think there is an opportunity there to look into that. But yeah, just wanted to put my 2 cents in there.
And to add to that, of course, like I think Matthew added in the chat box too, like this is, on the route of, I mean, Via's existing Primo line, when it's, more rapid transit options, but it's going to be on the Via Silver line soon in the future. So, but I think, one thing I knew we need to probably move on in a second after this to some of our other content, but, also check out that website because they do, I think, have the presentations, or renderings from that last meeting on the website for the Market Street cycle track. So if you're interested in checking out what the current design is looking like, definitely go check it out. But also, Murray mentioned a key word there, curbside management. And I used to work at the MPO back in the day, and there's a conversation about doing a curbside management study, and that is on the docket for the MPO in the future to do a study. And so I think that's also gonna be really important for us to all have these conversations about how we can all work together better and using that space around the curb, people using the bus, bicyclists, bike parking, wheelchair access, other things, trees, all the different things. So I think that's also gonna be a key conversation too in the future is like, what do we do with this curbside space and how are we all utilizing this, especially as things like, deliveries, people, giving Amazon deliveries, but also companies getting food deliveries and stuff. So a good, thing to add to that context too. But also, yeah, check out the website here for, those project renderings, see what's going on, but also to, I think also add your email to get plugged in on the next meetings for this project. Because yeah, we should be there too, advocating for this. Murray, Isaac, do you have any other comments on this? Hopefully y'all got a bunch of feedback there on these projects.
And nope, that's all I have. I guess my last comment for everybody is to continue to be plugged in, and when these meetings do come up, make sure you come out and you show out. As I always say, um, be as vocal when you support as you do when you oppose. So come out and let your opinions be known.
Thank you, Isaac. This is really exciting.
Indeed, I agree.
Hey, Joey, do you think would ActivateSA be able to help give us a heads up when these meetings are happening? I did subscribe to all of them, but I think it could be
Yeah, definitely.
helpful.
We will help with that, and also think it's a point to also again work with maybe capital delivery to see ask like we can ask to see like what's this their schedule like to maybe for our meetings and others to show like, hey, here's some meeting dates to expect for the future, because you go to SA Speak Up, well, they post those meeting dates like you
There's
probably
a
see
lot
too.
on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we can work on that. But yeah,
Okay, and then I can send it out to like our members and then
e-
like try to reach out to
exactly.
different
Everybody
people.
hit it from all channels, because yeah, representation matters from all the different groups. So yeah, for sure. So
Okay,
okay.
thanks. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great point. We need to, yeah, again, spread the word on as much as we can. So, um, want to cover one thing here today too, because I know Ismail from ARP also reached out about wanting to talk about their ARP Nationals, like their grant program. And so, for some of you are not familiar, we're doing something here locally, some of that grant funding, and also have Emily and Kathleen here who've been like key behind this and making this happen. So we'll ask them to chime in here and there, but I'm kind of so due to time, I'll get them plugged in on some of these slides coming up. But I want to go over what's this project and what's coming about with this, because you might have seen this on social media, but give you all an update on this. But anyway, it's on our AARP demonstration grant. And like I said, I'll pass it to Ismail after this to talk a little bit more about what that grant program is. So what's the safety improvement we're working on? This is kind of what our original goal was, that Emily had wrote a grant. So like, hey, this is what we want to see in our streets. Something along this line, something you know, a creative crosswalk, maybe not this exact design is from another city, but this is our original goal of improving Beacon Hill. One of the intersections there, and creating safer intersections, creating actual new crosswalks. At the time, city guidance didn't allow this. So we pivoted towards something like this, a creative bulb out type of option. Beautiful also. They're saying, why can't we do this in San Antonio? But you may have also, okay, well, we're going through the process. We're getting some like somewhat okays. And this is what the community was kind of feeling like. This is, the direction that Beacon Hill wants to go. There's a lot of other steps in this process for, jumping over some of these. There's a, community, um, like an art advisory board that's Emily and Kathleen work directly with to like find or like to select the artists and the art. But then some of you might have heard Governor Abbott sent out a letter saying that they're gonna be strict on what can be on our roadways, essentially banning essentially any kind of color on our streets or any sort of like creative safety enhancements. And so that you might have seen the news in San Antonio and other places about rainbow crosswalks being pulled off the streets. Well, that also meant projects like we showed before that essentially can't happen. So we're kind of shifting towards something like this, still, shortening the width of the intersection with these still having some sort of a bulb outs. And for context, this is where it's at. I mentioned in Beacon Hill in San Antonio, if you're not familiar with Beacon Hill, it's kind of a little bit northwest of downtown at the intersection of Ellesmere and Blanco. And later on, we've been working with Councilwoman Core's office, District 1 here in San Antonio. Um, and early on, one of the key things that the community had said needed was like crosswalk, safer crossings on some of these streets. And so Councilwoman Core's office has said they're going to work to make sure that there will be crosswalks installed after the facts because we have a limited budget on this. And so we're seeing what we can do, but that is kind of like a part two of this effort. But how do we get there? So I'm gonna just Emily or Kathleen, do you just want to say real quick kind of like why y'all wanted to essentially work on the street audits or get, the street audit, walk audits going in Beacon Hill?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kathleen Rubin. I kind of participated originally in the walk audit because I'm on the board of ActivateSA. And as a lot of you probably know, a year or two ago at this point, there was a walk audit that was conducted on Probant Street. ActivateSA was working to kind of formalize this tool, and it was publicly available on their website. So, because I live right off Blanco Road, I wanted to kind of use the walk audit tool and give it a test run in my own neighborhood. And so we had a really big, you can see all the neighbors that showed up here. I think a lot of people on this call were there too, like Murray and Matthew. We had representation from all the agencies and partners. And we logged a ton of data points on Blanco Road just to help document what's already been documented. This is a top priority street in the bike network plan, but we wanted to just get out as a community and engage and use the tool. And so that's been a really good launching point for our neighborhood to just be engaged with the processes that the city and AMPO are doing alongside us to make all of our streets safer. So Emily and I are kind of like outspoken bike and pedestrian advocates in the neighborhood, and it's snowballed into a lot of different kind of initiatives, including the demonstration grant, which Emily wrote the grant and helped to win that. And ActivateSA was our partner because, of course, they won't just give some neighborhood association money, right? But and there are many other things that have come out of this. And I know Emily's on the call, but Joey, I don't know how much time we have if
Yeah,
to keep going on it. So I'll let you guide us.
sure. Yeah, and I'll add some time for Ismail to kind of pitch what else is available. But yeah, I want to give credit and opportunity for y'all to speak on that. But yeah, so kind of the process, like Kathleen said, we started out with the walk audits, worked closely with Kathleen and Emily. Y'all are driving forces on that, making this happen. One little shot here of like Emily's bike bus. She leads there in Beacon Hill, going to Mark Twain. Also we mentioned that the Alamo area PO hosted a walkable community workshop in the Alta Vista and Beacon Hill area. And so again, more, driving force behind like why this is important, why this is needed. And so in March 2025, we were notified that we got this grant, some, good amount of money, about $18,000 to make something happen. And the original goal was to have two intersections. Emily pitched like, we're going to do two intersections. She got some background data from another group. And it was like, we're good to go. And well, again, lots of meetings between like with us and the city of San Antonio, departmental staff, the transportation, public works, and arts and culture, District 1, and some engineers who donate their time to help us. We're still working on getting this implemented. We also, like I said, we also went through like artist call process. That's when we were in the middle of this artist call process, the governor's letter, that news broke. But we still got the art approved by the city's arts commission. But we had to pivot. Like anything else, we're making this happen still. And so we're kind of at this point where like this is probably something we're going with. And like I said, part two of this will be to get crosswalks installed, actual crosswalks installed later on. Because again, the goal of this is to, while the community wanted to have something not just like a safety enhancement, but also, artistic, creative safety enhancement, which is legal across the nation. It's, data backs us up that this is possible, but still, this is going to be, we think it's going to be a great community safety enhancement. So it's kind of where we're at. Still, hopefully, going to get this installed in February. Crossing our T's, dotting our I's. into getting that process rolling. I know we're kind of running short on time, about 10 minutes. I wanted to Ismail to uh, talk a little bit too on that. The grant process coming up. Emily, did I miss anything?
I just wanted to add that there's a big push in Beacon Hill because we're engaging in the Near North Community Area Plan. So there's other background stuff that ha spurred a lot of people's interest in mobility that helped encourage them to come out to the walk audit and then et cetera. So yeah.
Awesome. And uh, anybody have any questions on this before I pass it off to Ismail? Moral support for us. It's been quite a process. So hopefully this is like the starting point for the city's Quick Builds program to like help the process be even smoother in the future. Counting on Murray and Isaac, no pressure. But yeah, it's definitely been quite a process, and hopefully, you know, again, street safety enhancements the process gets better, and hopefully maybe future administrations do not view creative safety enhancements as a threat to safety, which again, data says otherwise. But so just due to time, Ismail, did you have anything you want to pull up, or did you want me to show that website?
Yeah, I had just a quick few things. The first
If you
thing
want
I
to
shared
introduce
right
yourself
now.
too, of course.
Oh yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Ismail Herrera. I'm Associate State Director of Outreach and Advocacy with AARP Texas. I've been working with Joey and with the coalition for a little while on several of the projects, and I'm also the point of contact for most things AARP in San Antonio. If I can't answer a question for you, of course I'll direct you to someone that can. But I wanted to invite folks, if you're within a nonprofit organization or city department or nonprofit or different governmental entity, can apply for the AARP Community Challenge Grant. So we just talked about the Community Challenge Grant that ActivateSA was awarded for 2025. Well, the 2026 application is open now, and it closes on March 4th. Interestingly enough, there's a webinar immediately after this meeting ends at 1 p.m. If anyone is interested in just learning more, they can participate in the webinar. It's what I put in the chat box. But if you're not able to make it, if you have other commitments right now, there should be a recording of it afterwards if you have any questions. The other thing I just invite you to do is just to visit the Community Challenge Grant homepage at aarp.org. There is a lot of every year this grant program has grown for the last couple of years, and in particular this year, we received a guidance that said there is a special focus on two things that are very important to a lot of folks here, but one in particular is pedestrian safety. So pedestrian safety projects, there is going to be additional funds because in this time around, AARP is getting some support from Toyota Motor, the North American Toyota, for pedestrian safety. The other topic that we have a strong focus is high-speed internet access and adoption. But it's not limited to those projects. So if you have other ideas, something I've talked to a few folks that are interested to do is that another thing that you can do is you can browse the hundreds and hundreds of grant projects that have been funded in the past couple of years, and you can get a sense of like, does my project work? Is this part of my project something that my project could potentially fit into this category? And for those of you who are interested in something even super small, there's sometimes projects for $500 that get funded. So it can be something as little as $500, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it goes all the way to $25,000 in this time. But they are expecting to have more projects built this year than last year. And as I mentioned, every year it's hundreds of projects every year. As long as we get the word out in San Antonio, we will get at least one or two or a couple of projects here in San Antonio. So I'd love to see some folks participate in this. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or anything, I'm happy to talk to you about it as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Ismail. Yeah, and again, like ARP is doing some cool stuff from like they have like a lot of walk on it resources to things like this. So definitely check it out. And if your organization is interested, or even encourage maybe your city council district to do this, because again, one key thing for us is like, hey, like I mean, you might have seen the city, for instance, has limited budget and like they cut some of their budget this past year. So like so these things to help further some of these efforts along. They're like, hey, this is one way to show like we want these things to happen, but we're fronting the money up through AARP, of course, so make this safety enhancement happen. But yeah, definitely check that out. And anybody have any questions for Ismail?
Well, just really quickly, if y'all want to use us as technical assistants, feel free to reach out. That way, if you're thinking of some ideas and you're wondering, is this even possible within the current, state regulations and how the city works, we can help you navigate through some of that, versus us being surprised about the project and then trying to help fix it later down the road. So just throwing that out there that y'all can talk to us and we can help guide you on, okay, if you want to make an impact, here's how you can do it.
Thanks, Murray. Okay, before I close and take it to other questions, I want to add some other items here just before we close. I said what's next, and one thing Yamini had mentioned in the chat is like what's going on for the bond cycle. So if some of y'all, if you're not aware, the city typically does a bond cycle every 5 years. I think they might be changing that to 4 years coming up soon. But how we as a coalition can play a big role in this and showing our support for particular projects, getting up and speaking at community meetings or the meetings for the bonds process or participating on the bond committee itself. And so we're going to work together on that process, still working on that. Some of y'all may have seen there's been like, I guess, low chatter on like what the timeline is for that. Some people are maybe pitching out 2026 or 2027. Right now, from like what we're seeing and hearing from the city is that's maybe at the earliest May 2027. I think I saw a quote in an article saying that Mayor Jones wants to see maybe November 2027. So it gives us a little bit of time, but still not that much. And it's something we're still working towards. And also, Yamini mentioned, UDC amendments are coming up soon. So that's the Unified Development Code. And maybe we can dive into what that is in coming meetings. So especially if you're not aware of what that is, how can we work together better on that and proposing some ideas. And fortunately for us, since we're kind of focused on mobility, similar areas, there are some recommendations, I believe, and some of these recent plans and policies that transportation had worked on. And so again, we're not starting from scratch. But that's coming up. And also I want to mention also, I think Ricardo was on here too, but I know sustainability is working on their SA Climate Ready action, their SA Climate Ready 2035 implementation plan. So I think keep an eye on that. Before we jump off, Ricardo, do you want to mention like what y'all want to see from the community in the near future on that?
So we just had our first mobility and transportation subcommittee meeting. I think that went really well. We have a consultant that we're working with. They've kind of recommended try to get people in the room that aren't necessarily on the same side as us, so maybe try to get people from industry, try to get people that maybe are not fans of EVs to try to see what are all the differing points of view, and then we can kind of move from there to try to see what are the obstacles and how can we accomplish it, and maybe try to win over some people that may be opposed to it and maybe just don't have all the facts on their side. So I think we've made some good work, but we are still kind of in the beginning phases of that right now. But I guess the goal is to look over everything that was in the SA Climate Ready Plan, also known as the CAP, see what has been accomplished, what still needs left to be done, and what other goals should we have in there, what projects can we implement. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Awesome. If you have any other details, share it with me. I know I've got some of those, but keep me posted and share it with the group as well, Ricardo.
All right,
And,
sounds good.
and I think somebody mentioned earlier too, maybe Emily, but like, all these different things, factor together, and talk about different plans or policies. And like, for instance, this, sustainability implementation plan, the climate plan implementation plan plays a big part in also, supporting other elements that, are important for the city, from bike lanes to, green infrastructure in other areas. So that's important to keep track of, and we'll, share that information as well when it comes available. But yeah, I know it's it's 1 o'clock. Anybody have any pending questions, ideas, concerns over around here? Feel free to jump off. But yeah, I want to open up I know we kind of like ran to the very end of time here, but kind of rushed. But yeah, anybody have any closing thoughts? Matthew?
Just really quickly, AMPO recently posted on our website a recent call for projects tip development update. If you don't know, the tip is where we fund projects, federal funds, and so you can see an update on the projects that we ultimately funded for 2026. It's about $260 million. 94 million was in cost increases for previous projects due to inflation, and the rest of that was split up into CRP funding, which is air quality. That program is ending with the Trump administration, as well as new projects between 2027 and 2032. So you can see about $144 million in new projects. If you want to see the map for those, I'm blowing through this. If you want to see the map for all of those projects, you can see them here. The layers are all here for the previous ones of every project that we funded. So you can see and turn off some of the layers. Anything in blue and pink are the new projects that we recently approved for funding. Moving forward, if you want to look at specific projects, you can zoom in. For example, here's a UTSA area shared use paths, and you can look that we're going to be building, or we're funding some of these as well. So these are the projects expected that EMPO's funding between 2027 and 2030. 2031 and 32 goes in our long plan, so they won't be on that map. If you're interested in seeing how the entire process works, we have a lot of advocates, but uh, you don't do this every day. So if you want to see how that process works, we put all of that information here for you to see the entire process throughout the year. If you're interested, you can see our scoring spreadsheets as well to see, hey, when the city submits a project, uh, this is all of the metrics we track for every single project. So if you're interested in looking at what we do and how we pick projects, all of that information is here. And then you can see for this last round, the scores for each of those metrics for each project. And so you can see, for example, this one got a score of 78.75 out of 100 for this category. So tried to be a lot more transparent and give you all as much information as possible to learn more. And this is on our homepage, just the first tab. So Sully is also working with the Lavaca and King William neighborhood associations to do a walkable community workshop. And so Sully, if you wanted to mention some things about that as well, go ahead.
Yeah, so we recently met with the Lavaca at their general meeting. We were planning to meet with King Williams on February the 4th for their general meeting, just to kind of introduce who we are, as well as about the project. And then we will be kicking off our website as well as our mapping application for public input on some of the corridors in that area, beginning of March. So March 2nd is when we're expected to have that ready. And then we will be conducting walk audits and workshops the beginning of April. So excited for that to happen.
Love to hear it. And Matthew, I really love the new webpage is awesome. I love the way how it flows. That's awesome. Definitely good for folks who maybe not as familiar with the process and can learn more about it.
People don't know who we are and what we do, so I'm trying to fix that.
Dude, I worked there for 4.5 years and still learning new things, man. So yeah, it's always good to help lay it out there because it's a interesting beast of a process and organization. So anybody else? Feel free to drop off though. closing questions, comments, ideas?
Oh, really quickly to Yamini's question. So yeah, we are working on UDC amendments related to the Complete Streets Design Guide. We can definitely provide y'all an update, probably closer to end of the year, fall, once we accumulate all of those potential amendments and brief you on those. And then the question on the annual budget, maybe March, April would be a better time to update y'all when we know, okay, what's the forecast for the city coming up in the future fiscal year. That way you'll have a better idea and know like what to ask for.
Definitely. I think that'd be good. And also one thing didn't mention, might have mentioned in my email before the end of the year, but also traffic calming. I work with Public Works to get somebody to provide an update on that. You may have seen little chatter in the news. A council member, Councilwoman Castillo, have requested with some other council members through a city council consideration request to kind of help revise that process. Essentially, traffic calming is like when some neighborhood requests a speed hump or maybe a traffic circle or something like that. And so that process is supposed to be in review. That will be one of those future discussions. And this group is like, how can we improve that process and where's it at? And yeah, how can we get involved in that process and improving it? Emily?
Yeah, I just wanted you said the AARP, the speed bump things for the bulb outs are going to be February applied. Is that the project? You mentioned February. I just wonder, I didn't know an update on the timeline
Uh, I mentioned that
for our bulb outs. I thought you said February, but that's pretty fast.
No, and yeah, I'll check with Public Works because I know they had updated the city council transportation infrastructure committee on like the review in that process. And even in that meeting, that was what, maybe December or so, they were not very clear. Council was like, hey, like what are the next steps for this? And I think it wasn't very clear at the time. So um I'll check in with Public Works to see they can
Okay.
provide an
But there's
update.
no date planned or anything.
No, but I
Okay.
mean, I'd love for, folks, in our circles to be a part of that process because I know, yeah, a lot of us are, victims of traffic calming issues and like working through the process. So, yeah, no definitive timeline yet, but let's jump on it sooner though, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Adios, y'all.
All right. Guess I'll see y'all folks later. Everybody take care. Stay warm.
Thank y'all.